Hey YouTubers, I'm back. I got another go-kartish project. My neighbor had an electric Ryobi, however you want to pronounce it, riding lawnmower. And it had a problem, so he parked it and replaced it with the gas one. And I got talking to him, he's like, oh, hey, maybe you can look at this. He said, at the minimum, I'd like to turn it into a go-kart for my kid. I got it over here looking at it, and it basically had a couple components that were fried. The batteries were dead. By the time it would be done and set and back together, it'd be like $1,400, and he didn't want to deal with it. He could sell the whole thing for maybe $200 to $300. I said, let me try to part it out for him. Parting it out, and I got a lot of parts sold, and we still have the rolling chassis, so I'm going to turn this electric lawnmower into a gas. Let me show you the things I'm coming up against and the battles ahead. Okay, so here's the rear end split, because my idea, instead of trying to come up with a way to connect into this piece, which is the part the motor slid onto, and that's where the pulley and or sprocket, I'm probably going to go with a pulley and go belt drive. I have no way to connect to that part, so I split the rear end. My plan is to take this, take it to work, put it on the mill, and turn it into a half drive, like a ratchet setup, half drive shaft, to where I can slide something like this onto it. Once that's milled down, I'll have to mill the outside so that it can fit the seal on the opposite side of this in here. Once I get that done, I can set a shaft up, basically something like this, on 2 pillow block bearings, and be able to put a pulley, most likely pulling out a sprocket, onto this assembly, and then set the motor up on it. What I have for a motor is I went and bought a brand new Predator 212. The rear end on this already has dual rear drum brakes, and that is on the chassis already, still installed. Both cables run back. So this is just basically a gutted RM480e Ryobi lawnmower. Don't plan on lowering it. The kid's like 7 or 8. And that's the project. Okay, so here's the end result. I ended up taking this shaft to work, putting on the mill, milling it down to where it just fits the inside of the socket extension, milled down the outer side, or I should say lathed down the outer side of this so that it would fit the seal. This is the exact same measurement diameter as the motor, so we got a good fit there. And with that fitting down in here, I've actually had it indexed to where it has the least amount of movement. Now granted, this is a go-kart, so it's not going to be hitting real high rate of speed. I do have a little bit of movement here, so if you see her wobble, that's why that moves. But it ended up being pretty true there. My plan is to pillow block bearing here, pillow block bearing here, take the end of this off so it doesn't look so janky. Support the pillow block bearings with brackets that come off the bottom, or bottom of this framing, and down to here, and probably build a flange for different pulleys to bolt on here, so I can change pulley size and pulleys until I get the right gear ratio, so that it's not extremely slow or extremely fast. So waiting for the pillow block bearings to be delivered. Till then, I'm going to move over some of this bracketry here, because it doesn't need to be underneath the seat. There's nothing to bolt in there. Move those back into this empty area here to mount the motor, and sort of plan where the pillow block bearings will sit and how they'll mount. Okay, I already cut one of these battery holder rails out. It's that here. I think I'm going to leave this one unless I absolutely have to take it out. Got the backside cut. I started cutting on the front. Well, I'll do some video on it because it's so much fun. It is still connected to some bracketry that held the electronics. I'll get that cut out. I may end up using the cutoff wheel. Okay, so that's the bracket there that it's still connected to. That's connected to the tubing, really the main portion of the frame. I'll get that cut out and open this up. Okay, I made the cut down here. I got to cut across the bottom of this, cut it off that rail I already cut out. Then there's cuts to make in here and one cut to make there. Let's see how difficult and fun this is. Oh, that one's gonna be fun. That one wasn't as bad as I thought. Do some grinding on that there. Okay, instead of Sawzall, I'm going to use something else. A little easier to get to. Don't have to pull the seat off and pull the plastic out of the way. A cutoff wheel should probably be replaced. We'll burn it up on this. Put a flap wheel on there, sand these down, make them smooth so they're not finger catchers, and I'd open that up a little bit. Okay, so I'm coming up with a plan to move forward. I've got these pieces that I cut out, which were down in here, which were the extensions for the battery tray slide. I took the plastic double stick stuff off that was just going to be making a mess. And I'm taking measurements off the bottom of the motor. From one hole to the other, we are 3 inches here, side to side. From front to back, we are 6 3/8. I have located the spots where I will definitely be mounting the rear part of the motor, which is this here dot and this here dot. Side to side, that's 3 inches. It's very close to this 90-degree bend, which will give it strength and structure. My plan so far was to take these pieces I cut out and lay them in here in such a way that gives it bracing. One of the issues I'm running across is if I put this one on this side, and if I were going to, well, let's get it in frame here, butt it up against this, the problem is underneath here, this is just flat. It's not a 90-degree on the opposite side of this. So my plan was to put this all the way back under here, to where it's butted up against this back side here. That'll give me a lot more area to weld to, a lot more structure. But as you see, if I line this up about equal to that hole that's going to be right here, that rear end is going to be very, oops, let's get things in focus. The rear end is going to be very close at this point, right here and this piece. But with it centered, it'll just catch the other side of it and miss it. The nice part is I already have this pre-drilled hole, and with this being mounted under this, that would make the front of the motor sit low, but this tab or plate is already on there. The problem is I have a slight distance too far from this hole to the hole in the back, so I'm going to shorten the back of this till where the hole here will be, and the hole here already is, will be my measurement of 6 3/8. So I gotta do some measurements, some prepping, some cutting, get both these set up, and then I'll show you what it looks like when I have it ready to weld in. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. I got those rails trimmed down. Now I'm assuming the frame and these previously welded in factory rails are parallel to the frame. Taking measurements, 90-degree reference off of this here, same thing with over here. My holes, well, I'll be using these across, are at 3 inches. Front to back, where the hole will be, is 6 3/8. So my measurements are right. I got to make marks on the frame here, this portion, so I can prep the paint off there. Same thing underneath. I'll do a weld across here, do some welds in there, get it all ready, and that's where it's going to sit. Okay, I got the paint removed from areas that need to be removed, and I found squareness on this frame and got this first rail set up. So here's where she sits. What I have is I have the C-clamp holding it back here at the height I need it. It's all the way back against the back of this. And up front, what I did is I took this rail and C-clamped it to this crossbar to get the height of this and that one in the right spot. I'll get it tacked up, and we'll get her finished up welded and set the other one. Okay, so there they are, all welded in, and you can just barely see. I do have clearance down here. It's off to the side as well as a little bit up, so shouldn't have any contact there. Of course, that does not move, but any hard bouncing, just don't want any contact where I might have contact. Was gonna TIG it, but just about out of gas on that, so I hit it with the MIG. Just got to put a couple holes in these points here, and I can mount that motor up. Okay, so there it sits in there. Problem is I don't have the hardware or matching hardware to bolt it down to the brackets. That's my oversight, so I'm just going to take some time to cut some additional stupid bracketry out of here, like that one there. I don't know what I'm going to do with all these little tabs, the extra ones here. Might leave them, might not. All depends on what paint I can find for this thing, if it's going to be close enough to match. I really don't want to do anything that really stands out on it, because I'm hoping it'll look pretty decent for the kid when I get done. Alright, I'm going to cut the video here, get it posted up, and start a new video the next time I start building.